Angel Padilla, who helped write that Indivisible Guide. You saw him, and Leah Greenberg. And I appreciate both of you being here tonight. And there's a lot to ask you about. Leah, let me start with you. The White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer just today said these protests are being organized for media attention. Now, obviously, media attention in and of itself is a good thing, right? What's your response to him?
All that we're telling people to do, and this is Civics 101, is contact your representative, tell them your concerns, and try to get them on the record and talk about where they're standing, and do it in public, because that's what a member of Congress should be doing.
So, Angel, some Republicans say that these protests are not about changing policy, right? Obviously, we've heard some of the questions. They've been about Obamacare. They've been about policy. But some Republicans say that is not what this is about. Here are what two of them who've been in these town halls on the receiving end have said in their own words.
Now, the vast majority of the people attempting to attend this meeting were peaceful, decent, law-abiding folks who sincerely oppose Donald Trump. But there was also a well-organized element that came to disrupt, and disrupt they did.
They're welcome to come yell and scream. I thought it was a bit over the top. I thought it was intended to bully and intimidate.
Angel, are they right that some people are there to disrupt, bully, and intimidate?
No, I mean, by and large, the folks that are at these meetings just want answers from their representatives. Unfortunately, a lot of these representatives have been less than forthcoming with them about what they plan, and a lot of times they don't have a plan, and they're hoping that people won't pay attention. So these are their constituents. All they want is some time with their members of Congress.
So this, you're saying no one is there just with the purpose of yelling or shouting anyone down. That's not true.
So again, what we've always been advocating for, and it's in our guide, is that we want these to be respectful and polite. They're there for a single reason, and that's to communicate their concerns to their member of Congress. And we always, recommend that you stay polite and respectful. This is a progressive movement. This is what we're about. We're about inclusiveness, being respectful. But we also want to protect those that are under threat under this new administration and under this Congress that seems to be ready to rubber stamp Trump's agenda.
So, Angel, I want to ask you about that, actually, and your guide. But firstly, I want to ask you about something very important, and this is the issue of whether people are paid. The White House, as you know, has been adamant that they believe some of the protesters are being paid, specifically to go to these town halls and cause chaos. Here is what they said.
I think that we need to call it what it is. It's not these organic uprisings that we've seen through the last several decades. The Tea Party was a very organic movement. This has become a very paid, AstroTurf type movement.
So you heard Sean Spicer, paid AstroTurf type movement. I mean, Leah, can you say with 100% certainty that no one, not you, not any outside organization, has paid anyone to protest at the town halls?
I cannot say that nobody in a country of hundreds of millions of people has paid anyone at any point in the past, but what I can say is that this administration's presented zero proof of those allegations, and we've seen this playbook before. When the Tea Party first started popping up in 2009, Democrats said, oh, they're AstroTurf. They said, they're being funded by the Koch brothers. We don't have to listen to them. We don't have to take their concerns seriously because they're not, representative. And that did not work out well for them. So if I were a Republican member of Congress and I was seeing massive concern from my own constituents, I would recommend that they take that seriously.
That's an interesting point. It's an almost, I'm paraphrasing, but it's almost who cares? You got to listen to what people are saying because it will matter at the ballot box. Angel, your guide, you mentioned it, Indivisible, the practical guide for resisting the Trump agenda. Kyung mentioned it in her piece. I wanted to ask you about another group that's founded in part by staffers from Bernie Sanders' campaign. And on their website, it says this: Democrats must know there is a price for collaborating with Trump. Any Democrats who would give legitimacy or support to Trump do not represent us and must be replaced. It's sort of what people hated about the Tea Party, right? My way or the highway. There's absolutely nothing that you can do to work with Donald Trump or we hate you. Do you agree with that attitude?
So I think what's very different about this movement and some of the Tea Party movement that started back when we were on the Hill was that they were so focused on being anti-Obama that that's all they cared about. We have a different perspective. We're about protecting those communities that are at risk. So we do think that we should stop the Trump agenda. We do think that Democrats should stick up for progressive values. We do think that they should oppose all of these proposals that are coming out. But we're doing so because we think that we need to protect those vulnerable communities. So we're talking about immigrants, refugees, all of these people that are under attack right now.
Is it just saying no, though, Angel, to absolutely everything? I mean, is that in your view the right thing for the country? I mean, because it didn't work so well for the past 8 years, right? Just saying no by Republicans and Democrats.
Well,
do we really want to see the same thing again?
Well, so I mean, saying no did do one thing, and that slowed down the Obama momentum. It slowed down the Obama agenda. And so if what that means is slowing down Trump and Republicans, and that means protecting, again, immigrants and refugees and all the people that are under attack, then I'm okay with that. You know, it's about protecting people, and that's what I think a lot of these people in these town halls are focused on. They want to keep their health insurance. They don't want 32 million people to lose their health insurance. They don't want these anti-American, unconstitutional Muslim and refugee bans. That's what we're talking about.
All right, Angel and Leah, I appreciate it. Thank you both very much.